What's good, man? It's your boy Juicy J, man. Shout out to Virtual Homework Podcast.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Virtual Homework Podcast. We are excited because Black Friday is... Black Friday's over. We kind of forgot the podcast last week. Shit. Well, we still have Christmas shopping, and, we do apologize for our week delay. It's entirely my fault. Don't blame Dana. I know that a lot of Twitter has been telling Dana specifically to, do things to himself that are not good, and I do not endorse that.
Do you know how many times I had 40 messages that all said KYS?
What's that even mean? Have you cracked the code yet?
Keep yourself safe.
That's good. All right, so I shouldn't have to apologize because Dana at least has some support in his life. But even though Black Friday has come and went, I feel like some people probably don't have gifts. And what is there to buy for Christmas except for technology? So I recommend getting this new cool brand. Gucci has released their own Xbox. Have you heard of the Xbox One Series X or whatever it's fucking called? I don't know.
Oh my god. No, yes, I have. Does Gucci really have their own Xbox?
No, they didn't just make an Xbox. They just put their logo on an Xbox and charged $10,000 for it. Okay, so this is not even that new at this point. I think this is a month old. But I remember I was reading an article what the fuck? Gucci, I love Gucci, okay? I'm a basic simp for Gucci.
Are you a Gucci-holic?
I'm wearing my Gucci hat right now, and it's fucking dope.
I think 90% of their clothing is hideous. But
I think that's most fashion brands, but I feel like they're just doing that to get a reaction out of you, and then you'll buy the one thing that looks okay that's $7,000, and then they'll make their money. That's it. I bet 95% of the stuff doesn't sell. There's this one hat at Gucci right now that's $1,700, and it's literally sequins. It's who in their right mind would wear this? That's an aside.
I think you showed that to me.
Yeah, that's an aside for a different day, but it was in the news that Gucci was teaming up with Xbox to create a $10,000 100 only Gucci Xbox, which comes in a massive case, has a custom Xbox, which basically exists as a skin wrap for the Xbox with the Gucci logo. It comes with 2 custom controllers, and that's it. It comes with a carrying case, I guess, but it is totally not worth $10,000.
This is something I can just go on wrap.com or whatever and just have them make this for me.
Probably, but if you're doing that, that's a poor person's mentality.
I just made up that website, but
that's a poor person's mentality. If you have to think about how you could counterfeit your Gucci Xbox, it's not for you. I guess. What I'm trying to say is that this is so funny. What we need to do is
we're gonna sell counterfeit Gucci Xboxes.
No, we're not, because I have respect for Gucci. I have this cool hat that looks like a baby hat. Gucci. I should not. Gucci is a multi-billion-dollar company. They don't need my support. It's so weird when you see a tech collaboration with a fashion brand. And I think that this was the thing is, this is coming out the same day or maybe a day after Marcus Brownlee, however you pronounce his name. I just pronounced it the Will Smith way.
Isn't that the guy who has diabetes?
No, that's
Wilford Brimley.
Which we coincidentally also have a podcast episode about. We have a Wilford Brimley special, if you remember that. It's weird when fashion brands collaborate with tech, because you know that the tech is going to make the fashion brand come out, or the tech is going to eventually become outdated and make the fashion look lame. These things happen all the time, though. The one that people go back to is the Apple Watch for $10,000 first gen. That was with some watch company. It's just because the watch is $10,000, it's a piece of shit that's gonna break.
Oh yeah,
3
you look
years.
at it, it's probably fucking looks awful and horribly dated.
It's gonna look like a Razor phone, you know.
Well, that's the problem with wearable tech nowadays. I imagine if I got an Apple Watch now, it's gonna look awful in a couple of years. I want Apple Pods. I think AirPods. I think those will be fine because they're just headphones and things like that. I think those will they're not getting rid of Bluetooth anytime soon.
Well, you're in a Gucci mood. Are you going to get $700 AirPod Maxes or whatever? I forget how much it costs. A ridiculous amount of money.
They're actually the AirPod Max is only $189.
You are really 100% wrong. You're thinking about the AirPod Pro 2. The AirPod Max are an over-the-ear headphone, which is $550.
Oh yeah, no, I have no interest in those. Oh my gosh,
you have no interest in this podcast, apparently. Jesus. Anyway,
this isn't. I just late. It's past my bedtime. Not really. But no, just wearable tech in general just wears itself out. The reason that we are talking about this is that this is a podcast in which we are fusing tech with fashion, in which we played the Gucci arcade app for some reason.
Yeah, okay, so this is a bit of an experimental episode. I saw and I did a lot of research because, again, I am a simp for a multi-billion-dollar company. I love Gucci. I'm unironically going to say that as I wear my fucking custom-made Bean Virtual Homework Podcast sweater and this Gucci hat. It's not a good combo. Tangents aside, I was looking into the Gucci Xbox story, and I was on the Gucci website, and I was like, why are they doing a Gucci Xbox? And it's like, oh, they're actually like trying to get into esports. I'm like, all right, that's already weird. But then I'm like, oh, there's a Gucci
esports.
There's a Gucci app, and they have a Gucci arcade associated with the app. I'm like, I gotta check this out. So this is our first mobile.
It's surprisingly in depth.
it's surprisingly in depth. This is our first mobile encounter. Technically, we played games that are both on PC and mobile. For example, I think one of the games we played this year, Animal Farm, is a Steam app. However, the mobile port is nearly the identical game. A lot of games kind of blur the line between regular game and a mobile game. So this is kind of our first foray, but it's really also an experimental pick in that not only is it a mobile game, but it's like 12 mobile games. I don't know the exact amount, but I forced Dana. I'm like, listen, this week we're gonna play the entire Gucci arcade. You have to do this. I'm making you do this. And he was like, fine.
And I play this in an inordinate amount of time. And may I say, this is one of the most frustrating and worst mobile apps I have ever played for a multitude of reasons. For one,
apps
this was
or arcade? Because we could talk about, in fact, I feel like we should talk about the app before we get into the arcade. I just want to introduce the world to the Gucci app. So did you use the Gucci app besides the arcade at all?
I looked at it for about 4 seconds, and I was like, there's a Gucci gift, it's the Gucci Vault, Gucci 100, the Gucci Places, you can try on Gucci stuff, which I didn't do, and then there's the Gucci Podcast, which we're going to be featured on.
Yeah, exactly, because Gucci loves collaborating with small podcasters. I want to just note that that would be amazing. I would love that. I want to note that the Gucci app is the most batshit thing I've ever seen in my life. First of all, it has strobes out the wazoo. Like, this app is an epilepsy warning. It is abrasive in that there's constant bright colors and clashes and literal strobes on their runway parts, on their like news parts, on their podcast parts. You cannot get away from the strobes.
No, I feel like this app was not created by someone that has any UX or app creating experience.
Yeah, I feel like they just made Mr. Gucci create an app. But also, I feel like this is so disjointed.
Mr. Gucci?
That was the first guy, I think. I didn't see House of Gucci. That would be a good...
Mr. Yamaguchi?
That would be a... Yeah, Mr. Yamaguchi. I don't... That sounds familiar, but I'm pretty sure, like, the guy's name was Gucci. I haven't seen House of Gucci. Apparently, Jared Leto is the worst thing in the world, but that's no surprise to anyone. But the app is uncomfortable to use, and not only that, if you use an account, it sends you about 90 notifications a day. It's like insane.
I had to like log out of my account because I was getting like hundreds of fucking notifications. I was like, this is like so stupid. I do not care.
When I think of Gucci as a brand, I don't think of like a spam service constantly berating me with like, please buy our products. But
I mean, to be fair, it does to me because it comes off as very disconnected from what consumers want, and this entire product just seems very disconnected from anything a consumer would ever want.
Spoilers, man! You're telling me you don't like these games?
I never said that.
I also want to say that like the app, when you download it, I've never seen like this app is requiring permissions for this. I'm like, Jesus Christ! There were like 7 screens before I even got in the game. It's like super intrusive. That's the first part.
Stealing. It's like you need your social. It's like you need a blood sample. You know, it's like actively listening to you take a shit. You know, it's a little bit of everything.
That's the first part. The second part is the wearable section, which, like, honestly, it's fine. You get to wear Gucci products, but one, it's outdated. Like, these are literally multiple years off the shelves. Like, I actually tried to look. I was like, oh, this actually is cool. Let me look at this product. You can't buy it on the Gucci store anymore. So obviously they're not updating this app.
Yeah.
But the second thing is that they look like Snapchat filters. So like we're talking about like a multi-billion-dollar fashion house where they sell $400 shirts, and like everything looks like shit when you go into their wearable store.
This fucking app was outsourced to 14-year-old Indian children. Like, there's like, are you surprised?
I'm a little surprised because of Gucci's like name recognition. But then the fourth thing, and what I'm actually truly upset about as a podcaster, I listened to a couple episodes of the Gucci podcast because I'm curious what they have to say. First of all, I want to say that I know that sometimes our audio mix, sometimes the leveling is not great, but I want to say with confidence that we have a better setup than the Gucci. First of all, like they're in I'm so confused. Like there's some one guy and then like you hear someone that sounds like they're in a corridor. Like are they in like a museum? Like I've never heard more echo on a podcast mic than some of these people.
They're probably like in like an echoing like they probably like no concept of like sound design or like anything like that in like their setup or anything.
They obviously don't have a studio and like they have like people on Zoom, but they're using the Zoom audio instead of asking them to like record the audio. Like it sounds like absolute dog shit. The quality of the content, like it's not for me because I'm not into fashion. It's just like people describing their fashion, but it's also incredibly incohesive just due to the fact that like they'll just like randomly have an episode in Chinese and I'm like, okay, I get they're talking about the same thing, but it's like where does this come from? You don't have a target audience. You talk about different things in every single podcast.
It's Gucci. They don't need to have a target audience. Fuck you.
I guess. All I'm saying, like, aside from the arcade, which we'll get into,
I think their mentality is like, fuck you, we're Gucci. If you don't like it, we don't care. We're Gucci. We'll do it how we want.
I guess. But all I'm trying to say is that besides the arcade, I feel like this is a net negative on the Gucci brand. Like, Gucci is supposed to make you think of, like, prestige.
Anyone who's buying Gucci does not care.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
It's literally it's just us that are playing this app.
Then why are they even making an app? They obviously care. They obviously think this represents their brand.
So
but it's so
probably
shit.
Someone like that's like a child of someone who works in the company. Like, hey, I made an app for the company. Oh, cool. This is so modern. Let's have this. And
I don't know what to say. All I'm trying to say is like I feel like the existence of this with a low quality podcast, which only gets about 10,000 views, which I know is more than our podcast, but still it's fucking a multi-billion-dollar company, is trying to be seen as cool. And the fact that their app is broken, epilepsy, whatever, like it just makes me feel bad to use the Gucci app. It makes me feel worse about Gucci as a brand. I feel like they should just delete the app and don't say anything about it, and then it would help their brand. They are actively harming their brand. I will say
Can
though,
we talk about the actual games.
Yeah, let's actually get into
butter.
the games here. There's a lot of games on the let me count. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's 15 games in the Gucci arcade.
So here's the problem. There's 15 games. About like 6 to 8 of them are the same game, like reskinned, like slightly different. You know, it's basically think of the worst version of like Temple Runner you've ever played, or like those like Subway Surfer or whatever type games, and like cut anything that makes those games cool away and have nothing to do with Gucci other than there being like flowers and the letter G everywhere, and those are these games.
So, and then I will also say, if you don't realize this, and I didn't realize this until the day of the podcast, but a lot of these games, and to be fair, this wasn't a problem for other reasons, but a lot of these games don't work when you're logged in. So you could create an app, you could create a username and like have your scores tracked on a leaderboard, but creating a username and having a leaderboard attached to it actually makes it impossible to play some apps such as Gucci Lips or any of these games that can't connect to a server.
Yeah, I wasn't able to play like games like that.
If you signed out, you would be able to play them. For some reason, the apps are so broken that they can't connect.
There's so many bugs with these apps. Like it's actually unreasonable how buggy some of these apps were. Like for example, I played the game. What was it? It was Gucci Camp. I actually got the top score in the fucking world. But so the problem with these games is that if they run too long, they start bugging out. Like the sound went away, like it would stutter and stuff like that, and it literally crashed on me, and it didn't save my score, and I was very, very upset.
Well, F to you. I'll get into my number one high score in the world in a second, but let's just go down. Let's go to the line, okay? I have a list of apps here. We don't want to miss any of them. So what was your opinion on Gucci Flora? The thing is, I'm saying these apps, and like you have to probably like get the app ready because you're gonna forget what these are based on it. Okay.
I have it up.
Gucci Flora, the one with the cat.
This game sucked. It was like the worst platformer I've ever seen in my life. Basically, it's like a platformer where there's like different stages. You go to like random like bonus worlds or some shit for some reason. You have to collect 3 flowers per stage or something like that. Awful controls. If you hit any of the enemies, I guess you can somehow kill them by jumping on them. Then other times you die. If you get hit 3 times, you just restart. It's fucking terrible.
You're missing the best part in that like this game is actually not a platformer at all, but it's like a cat. You get your house looking good for the cat, and you have to feed the cat.
No, this is a
No, it is.
platformer.
It's both. It's like a Tamagotchi cat game, but the way that you feed the cat is going into the platform world, where every single
you're
level
right,
is a
I did
shitty
forget about that.
platformer, and like you can't even play the game if you don't feed your cat. So it's like barely a platformer because you need to feed your cat in order to. It's so hard
It's
to
insanity.
describe.
Like what does this have to do with Gucci?
This is probably the most complicated game, and it's the game we're talking about right off
Absolutely.
the bat. The actual platforming is incredibly basic. I felt like if we're talking about the mechanics of the game, there's a multiplier on the amount of food you're able to get for your pet or the currency you're able to get for your pet. So like, there's no reason to collect it in the first couple stages because you're gonna get a 10x multiplier in like the next couple of stages. The game is designed very weirdly, and it makes it bad as a pet simulator and bad as a platformer. And if it was a pet simulator alone, it might work. However, due to the fact that it has some of the worst platforming ever, it's like something that you would play in a Flash game from 2006.
Yeah, this is like straight up like high school like project level like platforming. It's
like
awful.
a game when you jump and there's like no gravity, it's just like linear. It's one of the worst games.
Well, that's what I mean when I say, like I was saying earlier, how like this is obviously outsourced to like the lowest bidder. Like it's just the quality is like so terrible. And whoever was doing QA, whoever like accepted this, obviously knew nothing about UIX or apps or gaming at all whatsoever. Like, oh, it looks pretty, whatever, fine, it's good.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how much they know, but how much they didn't give a shit because Gucci wasn't paying them enough. But let's move on because Gucci Flora, I feel like
that's what I mean. Like Gucci, like they didn't know shit about shit, so they're just like whatever, fine, whatever. This is what it's worth.
Yeah, no one's actually playing these games. Besides the fact that they don't want like a vulnerability.
Hey, some of
app.
these have a couple hundred fucking plays and stuff like that.
Yeah,
there's Gucci Burst.
Yeah, well,
Gucci Burst
before I get to Gucci Burst, which is I'm gonna admit one of the better games in the series. I just want to say Gucci Flora. Even though it's probably the most complicated game, there's not much to say about it because it just does everything terribly. Let's go Gucci Burst. Bad. Explain Gucci Burst to me.
Gucci Burst was like, so you're kind of like on a 3D plane, like traveling forward, and you have to like swipe up or down to like dodge things. I like couldn't get past like the first like 5. Like it was just very.
So I feel
awful.
like this is a very polarizing game because I have a complete. So I let Angela play Gucci Burst, and she had the same issue as you, where it's like the depth perception is really weird, and I feel like a lot of people aren't able to process it.
I couldn't do it.
My complaint about this game is that it's so easy. At a certain point, I get bored and just die because I don't want to play anymore. Because it's like basically you're just moving up and down. Like it's very similar to an iPhone game you'd play in 2007, where like kind of like Temple Run, where you're just like dodging a wall. I thought this game
Temple Run actually has like
it's a very very basic version of the game. I thought this game in terms of the visuals was actually pretty good. Like it's really 2.5D. I think that was the
thing
word
about
like
some of these games do have like pretty cool visuals. So it's like it's almost deceiving because it looks good, but then if you really look at it, there's really not much to it, you know what I mean?
It's
just
less
like,
deceiving
when
the game starts and then it's like 15 FPS and it's like laggy as shit. So I will want to note actually Gucci Burst is one of the games that literally just won't play on a modern browser. Like I tried playing it on my Google Chrome and I think I have enough RAM.
I wasn't able to play it either on my PC.
It was like 3 FPS and I was like, holy shit, how is this past QA at Gucci? This makes your brand look like shit.
Yeah, there's just so much obvious QA with this these apps. It's actually insane.
But Gucci Burst, I enjoyed it in that like I was able to get into a groove. But the issue is the game was it was so repetitive and so easy. Once you like kind of got into a rhythm, sure it kind of sped up, but like it was very easy to go for way too long, and I was already extremely bored about it. I just like looking at this game, and I feel like that's kind of the problem where the game is so confusing to look at, but in an aesthetically cool way because it has kind of like old school 3D graphics in a way that
it's whatever. I can take it or leave it.
Yeah, you can take it or leave it. It's not one of the better games, but it's not one of the worst games. It's very neutral when it comes to the Gucci arcade. So let's move on here. Gucci
what do you think about
Bounce.
Gucci? Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you think about Gucci Beloved Bounce?
So I actually am a fan of Gucci Beloved Bounce. The thing is, so did you ever play Neopets?
No. So like this game was the one where you have to like hold down like the right amount and it makes like the noise to like jump. Right?
Yeah, so
it like makes the noise, but then the noise goes away.
you're a microphone and you're trying to jump from platform to platform, and it's kind of like a catapult where you hold down and then your microphone is catapulted from thing to thing, and if you hold down too much, you go over it and you die. If you hold it down too little, you don't get enough and then you die. This is very similar to a game called Bounce Master or something like that in Neopets, and I love that game. So I was actually pretty skilled with this one.
I feel like all these games,
Flash games
from a million. Yeah,
what
I think these are, like, these were probably like templates for already existing games they just reskinned.
And part of it, like, honestly, like, this game isn't bad. It's just incredibly basic. This is one of the better games on the platform, I thought, because the game looks fine.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird in that
it looks fine. It plays well, but
the theming where it's like a microphone, I think they were like trying to like go with their Gucci podcast, and I'm like, that's Gucci's not known for their very podcasts. Weird. But also, yeah, it's one of those games where you're just playing it for a really long time, and you kind of realize, like,
they just needed to think of, like, random, like, they're probably just throwing shit at the wall just to see what sticks as far as what they were doing for these games. So,
but this is one of the ones I could actually play for a little bit longer. I would get bored eventually when I would get into like.
I got bored of it.
I got like when I would get like, what's your high score? I got like 200.
Probably like 104 or something like that.
Okay.
Like I only played this game for a little bit. I played mostly like the next one and then the one after that.
Gucci, Beloved Bounce. The one thing about this game I will say is that, like, it has a really weird combo system, and like I couldn't get it, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I didn't understand either. It's because you would like do like a combo, like combo 3. It's like, all right, and then I do the same thing. And it's like no combo. I'm like, I don't.
But honestly, at the end of the day, I'm not going to nitpick the scoring system on Gucci Beloved Bounce. I could do a lot more things with my life.
So the next game is the big one, though. This is Gucci Grove, which is your favorite game, I'm assuming.
It is actually not my favorite game, but it is the one where I have the most international recognition as #1 Gucci Grove player in the world. And yes,
I got to third, and I couldn't get past that. Because this game is 100% fucking RNG after a certain point.
I'll get into that in a second. But the thing that we have to note that we haven't talked about before is that, yes, Gucci Arcade is a free service, except for 2 games.
You have to pay $1 for it, which we did.
Yeah, Gucci Grove,
fans.
First of all, is also free online. It's online and free. And honestly, Gucci Grove, I'll talk about that in a second, but Gucci Grove is...
this game's actually kind of fun.
This game is fun. What is it like? There's another game that this is definitely like.
So you basically just like scroll down across a plane, and then it's like so think of the helicopter game kinda, where you're like guiding through a plane, but it's like vertical instead of horizontal, and then you have to like jump over like platforms instead of like dodging. It's kind of like that. But the problem is, and this is a problem with almost every single game here, your score is based on how far the game decides to get you. It's not skill based after a certain point, because you'll just get bullshitted by random mechanics or obstacles that are just, you can't.
Yeah, so as he's saying, like, you're basically going down and you're trying to dodge things or get like food because your character runs out of energy. When you run out of too much energy, a jelly thing comes and gets you. And honestly, the fact of the matter is, like, these flowers that give you energy are so plentiful that you should never actually, unless you're willing to. I've
actually never saw that.
So unless you're willing or trying to get the jelly to eat you, it's not going to happen. But yeah. So what he's talking about regarding RNG, this game is relatively easy, and I think it actually is one of the better games because, like, it's varied enough that, like, you're kind of actually like on the edge the entire time.
Yeah, and it gets a little bit more difficult. You know, some of the mechanics are different every time. Like, the biggest problem is the jumping. The jumping is a little like floaty, and like you have to decide, like, okay, am I going to get 2 jumps in a row, because that's an auto end of your stage.
Yeah. So so the thing is, when he mentions these jumps and an auto death, the way that this game works is that, like, you have things that you have to jump over that are instant death. Specifically, you could dodge holes or go over holes, or you could dodge rivers and go over rivers. There is this ramp basically that you could go over, and like you're supposed to land, and like they place these like flowers and other ramps to chain, but they didn't actually QA this game enough, so you go slightly over them. So you don't actually, hypothetically, if you have 2 rivers in a row and like you're supposed to go in from a jump to a jump, like you will literally just land in the second river and die. The only way to proceed, every single time, there's no way to do anything else. The only way to proceed is that you get a power up that allows you for invincibility temporarily temporarily and you happen to go over the river at that time,
Yeah.
which is actually incredibly rare. It's not like something that like if you have to grind for like probably 2 hours before this occasion comes up, and if it comes up early enough, you're not going to get a top score.
I feel like literally anyone could get like a top score in this if they just spent enough time like just playing it, because the game, it's basically you get the right seed to where it allows you to get things. This is a reoccurring theme with these games, that it's like it just insta death no matter what you do, and then you get, oh, okay, I got a random seed with the game I'm playing where it's allowing me to just go farther and farther forever.
It's especially true in that like this game costs $1, so there's not that many people playing it. So I got the easiest number 1 probably in the game, but I'm literally the best in the world at Gucci Grove. I actually like this game. And if I will keep the app, I will keep it for Gucci Grove. Probably that, or I'm gonna reveal it right now, Gucci Surf. But before we move on, I just want to say, yeah, Gucci Grove is free online. It is $1 in the app, or $1 in the Gucci app. And yes, it is not worth it in the Gucci app, but it's hilarious on the browser because it's not optimized for browser for widescreen. So there's 2 massive walls on the side of the game, and there's like a tiny sliver where you're actually able to play the game, and it's kind of funny.
Is it the same like broken shit though?
Yeah, it is. It's exactly the same.
Okay. The game we played next is actually my favorite game, and I think this was another one that cost $1. Gucci Camp. It's very much like a Temple Run game, which is like a reoccurring theme with this app, Barkit, arcade, whatever the fuck it is, in which it's just like a character running down some sort of fucking path, and you have to dodge things. So how this works is you can gain energy by grabbing different things in the 3 different stages. First stage, you're grabbing, oh god, I don't even remember, I think like wood or something like that. And the second stage, you're grabbing picks.
It doesn't matter what you're grabbing.
You're just
and then grabbing some shit.
Yeah, so this is another game that's 100% RNG, because as you go along your stamina bar, drains and stuff like that. But the rate in which it drains is 100% random. It has nothing to do with how many things you get, et cetera, et cetera. There's like a random bonus mode that will take you to the moon, in which you gain points twice as fast, because that's how you get your score. The problem is that your stamina drains when you're in like the transition cutscene that's like 10 seconds long. So you'll just die there because it just takes too fucking long.
I would just like play this game and like all of a sudden I'd be dead. I was just like, okay, I guess I'm dead now.
So this is the game I played the most, and actually I had like the top score in the world. And then my app crashed, because what happens is after you beat the 3rd stage, it just loops back to the first time, and after you loop like 10 plus times, you lose all sound, and like the graphics on the right and left get like really fucking distorted, and the app crashed. So I was really upset.
Gucci experience. I mean, so I'm gonna cheat a little bit, and like, did you play any Gucci Grip? Did you play any Gucci Grip?
Which one was Gucci Grip?
Scroll down till you see a Gucci Grip.
I don't think it ran on my thing.
So the thing is, yeah, this is one of the ones where if you're logged in, you actually can't play it. But Gucci Grip and Gucci Camp are literally the same game. Like, they have the exact same gameplay. They are literally the same game.
This one looks way better.
Gucci Grip is a better version of Gucci Camp, and it's free. There's no reason for Gucci Camp to be $1. Like, there are some better apps.
I should have played this game. This game's way better, but I couldn't play it logged in.
Gucci
so what's
Surf
the point of
looks better, plays better, it lags less, because Gucci Camp is like in this like quasi 3D art style that like makes the whole thing lag.
Super limp. This game is really cool looking.
Yeah, so sign out of the Gucci app and try playing it next time. I want to say, like, it's kind of weird that they have the same game reskinned.
That's annoying. Like, that's something I'd
for
rather
$1
have.
And
to get a high
worse.
Score.
It's so confusing. And the thing is, when you're logged out of the app, you can't save your high scores. So like you're fucked. You're never gonna get a good score again, because the Gucci Surf it won't work on your device.
Do you really want to go down every single fucking app in this game?
I do, but some of them are going to be quick. Like the next one, Gucci Conga Master. I didn't know how to play this one. I was so confused.
I did not know how to play it. The problem is they show you the instructions one time, and it's like one frame that they show you on, and then you can't ever get the instructions ever again. So I'm like, I don't know how to play this.
Yeah, okay, so we're done with Gucci Conga Master. That game made no sense. It was batshit. Gucci Ladybug, this is Flappy Bird. It's Flappy Bird with a good skin. Honestly, the game had a very good aesthetic. Like, it had like this weird like cutout garden theme. The issue, as you were mentioning, is that these games, as they go longer, just like Flappy Bird goes on for infinity, the scroll speed plus how far you can go vertically, it literally just gets impossible. You can There are situations where a normal human being can't do it, and then you just die.
100% up to luck to see how far you get, so...
So yeah, it was just I had no motivation playing the Flappy Bird clone because unlike Flappy Bird,
these games are just all very frustrating after a certain point. Like, oh, I want to try to go to a higher score, and it's just like, all right, is it letting me? Is it letting me? It's like, all right, no.
With the exception of one, which we'll get to. So and then we have Gucci Bloom, which honestly was the most nondescript game ever. You're basically shining a flashlight at
this
things.
is a weird game.
Yeah, it's really weird.
It's like you basically scroll left and right. You're like so you have to pick a different girl. I
forgot there was a character choice in this one.
To wander through an enchanted forest, and you go a light left, right, and it's it gets fast. It's terrible.
It's one of the weirder games. It's hard to describe and not worth it. It's just pretty boring. So let's move on. We have Gucci Dive, which it's a little bit of a twist. You basically go around a circle plane instead of linear plane, just collecting shit. I like the aesthetic of this one a lot. This one was the 3D, it was 3D, but it wasn't good enough 3D, so it almost looked 90s 3D.
Yeah, it's a thing of a tube that twists, and there's objects, so it's you're moving
Tempest. It's
your
Tempest,
camera,
and
stuff like that. I'm trying to think of.
It's Tempest.
Yeah.
Do you remember playing Space Draft
cool.
when you were getting really sick? There was a circle level.
Yeah, it was like that.
Yeah, so I actually enjoyed that one. However, it wasn't really my fancy. It was honestly, in terms of the Gucci arcade library, pretty nondescript, pretty painless. It's a fine game. Good on you, Gucci.
It was whatever. It's you just fly down. There you get random speed ups that makes you fly 1,000,000 miles per hour and crash and everything, but you collect coins.
All right, and now let's get into the big one, okay? Gucci Surf is my favorite game.
Really?
Yeah. I love Gucci Surf.
I didn't really care for it.
So the thing about Gucci Surf, it's very abrasive, and especially someone who has a sensitivity to I don't know, just you don't like Space Giraffe, it makes you sick. This game, the game is definitely abrasive. It's trying to get into this 90s pop-up aesthetic, and the entire background is constantly moving, and it's kind of hard.
It's
surfing
just
the web.
So optimized. It's so unoptimized. It's actually unreal.
The game doesn't lag for me on my iPhone 12. Okay?
Well, no, I
so
mean
it
doesn't.
12.
I got an iPhone 12 as well. But when I say unoptimized, I guess it's a terrible verbiage. I'm actually playing it right now mid podcast. It's literally just a pointer. It is just so the very first fucking Flash game you've ever made type thing that just looks kind of pretty.
It looks kind of pretty, but it has a little bit more depth than you would think. When the game speeds up, and also the fact that you have to use these moves to get anywhere close to a high score. I'm 5th in the world, by the way. Not anything crazy. Anything crazy, but I actually enjoyed Gucci Surf. The game kind of exists as a distraction more than a game. It's you're trying to basically just not die while this entire background distracts you. It gets again to the point where everything's moving too fast and you just immediately die, and it's God fucking damn it. But I thought this was a little bit better than a lot of these other games that we're scrolling through because it had special surf moves you have to do to actually gain points, so it wasn't just collecting stuff like a lot of these games.
Every single one of these games, though, is literally just scrolling on a plane, collect things to get score and dodge.
No, but
things.
you also have to do moves, and moves make you basically vulnerable for a certain amount of time, and they get harder and harder to do as you speed up. So I thought that was a good twist on it. I will say that this game makes you choose a surfer, and literally your choice immediately gets wiped out when you die, which could be in 30 seconds, so there's no point to do it. You just pick whatever's there. So yeah, barely playable on PC.
QA strikes again.
Yeah, exactly.
That should not be something that you have to remake your character every fucking time.
So let's get into this. I think I actually have the rest out of order because I played them out of order. Gucci Lips. This is the pinball.
I wasn't able to play it.
I actually am pretty disappointed. This is probably the best game, objectively. This is a relatively competent pinball. Play it online. It's pretty laggy online, or sign out of your Gucci app.
I'm signed out right now. This isn't terrible.
Yeah, it's actually a good pinball. There's way worse games that cost money that are pinball. Especially on the SNES, but I guess SNES era pinball is not something to really be rooting
mid
for.
Podcast. I like how when you fuck up, it has a sad face emoji.
I genuinely think this is one of the better games, but just because it's a pinball game, I feel like we don't have much to say. It's a competent pinball game. If you're looking
the
for
aesthetics
a free...
are Gucci and makeup.
Yeah, if you're looking for a free pinball. Oh, also like there's some pretty fun stuff. Like some of the stuff like it makes makeup smear like with your pinball where it goes like in that direction. It's more in depth than you would expect from a Gucci app.
Do you think this game probably has a little bit more development time put into it than some of the other things?
Yes, this is probably like it's one of the better looking ones, and it has by far the most in-depth gameplay. The only major complaint I have is that it's very easy to go through the middle compared to some other pinball games, and therefore it makes it a little bit more RNG.
Yeah, I literally just played it like for like 20 seconds, and I just would immediately go to the middle. I'm like, oh, okay.
All right. So I really don't have that much to say about that. And moving on,
Gucci psychedelic.
Weird. It's a Galaga game that actually like makes you want to seize out.
Yeah, it wasn't that great. Gucci Ace.
You could tell
Gucci
that we
Ace
are
is like.
We could tell that we are like losing steam on the Gucci app as we get.
Well,
into
it's like
these
there's
last...
so many apps, but they're like they're like so
Gucci Ace
terrible.
is the worst tennis game I've ever played in my life.
It's so bad. It's like unplayable,
unbeatable. Like it's impossible to beat the computer, and like it's requiring you to do spin with no methodology for spin. Eventually, like they'll just go to the side of the board, and then you'll lose.
You just lose. Yeah, it's fucking terrible.
It's the worst.
And as a ping pong fan myself, I give it the thumbs down out of 10.
Gucci Mascara Hunt is a trip. It's honestly the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life.
It is insane, and you can play it for like 10 hours just by going like...
It's not really a game. Gucci Mascara Hunt is obviously someone on the Gucci coding team trying way too hard. It's like, we're going to make a dream sequence bowling simulator with mascara. It makes absolutely no sense. It makes, like, literally there isn't gameplay. You're just, like, tapping the screen over and over again randomly.
Yeah.
Randomly, you can't die.
Hitting points and going on. Yeah, you literally go on for, like, 10 minutes and then you die. But because everyone else can, like, I think I was playing it for, like, 9 minutes straight and I got, like, 1,000. I'm like, oh, someone must have played this for, like, an hour.
The game is pure aesthetic with no gameplay. Like, you know when you're playing a game and like you just
that's like every game.
Yeah, I guess, but like you know that when you're playing a game and like you kind of just like feel you're playing a game. It doesn't feel like you're playing a game. It feels like you're just tapping.
No,
like there's no engagement.
Buttons.
There's no engagement.
I want to say it's probably has some of like the most fluid animation out of like any of the games.
Yeah, it's up there in the Gucci app. And then finally, we have Gucci B, which I think is the worst app on the thing.
Yeah, it's the worst like Pac-Man clone I've ever played.
It's a Pac-Man clone, but it looks like it was made in Flash in 2002. Like it just has like a basic block screen.
Which is it's so interesting how some of these apps like they put
so
no effort into this.
Legitimately, some like Gucci Grove looks great. It looks great. Yeah, it has great aesthetic.
A lot of these games look really good. They have like really fluid animations, and some of these other games are just like blocky, like pieces of shit that look like they were made in MS Paint. Like it's really awful. This app sucks. I'm sorry. Like the Gucci app fucking sucks dick. It's awful. It's terrible.
I wanted to like it because obviously I'm a Gucci boy. I'm wearing a Gucci hat. But more than anything,
yeah, we sat and played. I played this for like 5 hours trying to get like world first scores and things.
The thing is, you obviously liked it to some extent because like you kept playing it over and over again. Like I guess it like
I didn't like it though. It just had that part of your brain
personality. Yeah.
No, it was you said, "Oh, I got number 1 in Gucci Grove, so I had to do it." Like.
And
I hated it.
Then you didn't do it. You got fucked.
I literally played Gucci. I played Gucci Grove for over 3 hours, and I didn't get higher than like 4th.
Well, get wrecked, idiot. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is what I'm trying to say is that like honestly, this wasn't as bad of an experience as we're making it out to be. I kind of had fun exploring why Gucci.
It was different. It was different.
You were excited because you were actually able to play the podcast game at work, right?
Shh, don't say that.
Don't say that.
It was more so like I played it like in bed mostly.
Okay, I honestly was. I'm excited that I know what Gucci esports is capable of. It's this.
Yeah, this is what Gucci has to offer. How much do you think they paid for this app? Like, be honest. Like, do you think they paid like? Do you think they paid way too fucking much for it because they didn't know what they were doing?
200,000 to 500,000, and you would think that actually is a lot, but I don't think it's that much. I bet it was like a team developing this for a year, just getting, which is honestly not that much. It's like 4 people just pushing this out. It's like, all right, it's done, and like they're not supporting it at all, obviously, because they have cataloged items from like 2 years ago that like are not getting updated. So They just put this out there as an
Apparently,
experiment.
new games are getting added though. Some of these games have been added recently. Like I actually Googled, I tried to see if there was like a subreddit for this, and like people were actually talking about like some of like the mobile apps and how they were added, and they were 100% articles made by Gucci reps. So
Well, this experience, I just feel better about myself because this is Gucci's best.
I feel worse.
This is Gucci's best.
Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang.
Yes.
Spent 10 racks on a new chain.
We're going to get DMCA'd with your beautiful singing. I just want, like, if this is what Gucci's doing, if I was in Gucci shoes, I'd do better, right? If we had to make the virtual homework podcast app arcade.
It would be like Goatsy Simulator.
Yeah, 2 girls, 1 cup. Like,
It'd be,
get the poop in the cup. Get the poop
simulator.
in the cup. That's...
It's just like, so it's like an ass hanging off the top of the screen. Like you just have to move
you know
back
those
and
games where you have
forth.
to collect the stuff going down. Like
Yeah. But it's like an ass with like shitting with like.
Yeah, and then so basically genius.
Comment below, like and subscribe, hit the bell if you would play that game.
What? Okay.
What else is new?
Jesus. Look at Doodles. Or never mind. Doodles was at one point looking ready to pounce.
He's ready to go.
What's like the most fucked up thing that Doodles ever brought you?
And he doesn't bring me fucked up things. Doodles is like a very abnormal cat. Like Doodles has never scratched me, never hissed at me, never bit me. Like he is like chill as fuck. Like he never does that to anybody. He's not like a cat that like hisses or bites you. Unless he's like playing.
So it never well, is Doodles an outdoor cat at all? Has Doodles ever been outside?
No.
Okay.
I don't believe in outdoor cats. I think outdoor cats are actually like
it's like cruelty at this point.
Yeah, because there's what's the reason? It's just they die, or the biggest thing is that they're horrible for the environment. Like they're cats.
Yeah, they're
probably
predators. Like they're apex predators. It's like releasing a lion into
they've ruined like the local ecosystem and stuff like that, and then they breed and like get ran over by cars. There's really nothing to it. It's like the people that like the chonkers thing. Like I think that's like literally fucking animal cruelty. Like, oh, look at my little chonker. It's like, oh, you're literally shortening their lifespan.
It's cruelty, and it's also like for like 30 upvotes on Reddit. So it's like,
it's pretty terrible, dude. Can I actually talk about something? I got so fucking mad at Twitter today.
Okay.
So are you paying attention to that thing that's going with that one artist on Twitter?
No.
The one that like released an NFT for their art.
No. I thought. We had a conversation very briefly.
I know.
We're not allowed to talk about crypto for a year.
This has nothing to do with crypto. Listen.
The people, aka me, have spoken. But okay, fine.
So basically, there's this artist that does art for like Tycho and like a bunch of other stuff, and a bunch of random game people like their art and stuff like that. Like they're pretty huge. Well, they came out like, hey, like I'm making like an NFT account. I'm gonna do some of my stuff as like NFTs. It's really cool. And now like literally everyone who is like, you know, like there's 70,000 fans are all like revolting against them, saying like, you're fucking scum, like you deserve to fucking die, like NFT, like I used to like you and now I don't. And it's just like, I don't understand the NFT hate. And then they're like, oh well, it's terrible for the environment. I'm like, motherfucker, you're typing from an iPhone. We
had this conversation. Now we're just repeating stuff.
No. I know. I think it's gonna go into other thing. Yeah, I've said it a million times. It's like it's just virtue signaling. You're just picking like one thing to fucking hate on unless you're like riding a bike everywhere, growing your own food, or like, you know, only exclusively using Twitter while at the library. You're just putting as much harm into the environment as anything else.
Well, like Greta does. She like boated to the New York because she actually put her money where her mouth was, and she's like, yeah, apparently airplanes are like the worst thing ever for the environment. I don't know anything. I'm an idiot, but that's what I've heard. The rumors are true. Is Bruno Mars is gay? You know what I'm talking about?
Is Bruno Mars is gay? You've just been looking at like memes from like 2019.
No, okay. Yeah. You know what? Are we getting it? Like you're like a little too into Twitter. You boomeranged back. You had the chance to completely remove yourself from Twitter when you were banned, and then you got unbanned. And now it seems like you're going like you're just like, oh, this is a topic. I think it's just an excuse to be on Twitter. You're like, oh, look at this video of this guy with the money.
So let me actually go back to Twitter and why it makes me so mad. So it's like every single person there, it's like they all have like BLM in their profile, and then you look, they're like, I refuse to vote, and it's just like I'm like one of those people that's like, if you don't vote, you actively hate people of color, women's rights, you know, that kind of shit. So it's like I just got really like triggered at.
You're getting triggered at, like, I hate that you just said the word triggered and I said the word triggered, because that word gets me triggered. Okay.
Well,
No,
but
in reality,
I mean,
I just hate the word triggered.
yeah.
All I'm saying is that I don't know who said it. I don't like. Maybe the person who said this is like the worst human alive, and I'm sorry for quoting
It's not
them.
one person. It's literally like 40,000
Twitter isn't
people.
real. I forgot who said that, but Twitter isn't real. Just it doesn't matter. Nothing on Twitter matters. None of these people do anything except go on. You look at a person who like has terrible opinions on Twitter, and then you notice you like do the math on the total amount of tweets and how long they've been on Twitter, and most of them are sending like 60 tweets a day. That's insane.
Yeah.
I have a tweet. I tweet like once every 2 weeks because like I don't
like,
have anything interesting to say. I'm not an interesting person. I run a podcast.
I just retweet like ponder my orb memes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good meme. Speaking of memes, you're a memer.
I really, really love that meme. Do you think I'm more up to date for memes now than you are?
Yeah, probably. Because unlike you, I'm actually like you had the golden opportunity, suspended from Twitter. I'm like sitting here like I uninstalled every single app. I'm like trying to live in a cave and read this comically large double stack of books behind me. I'm trying my hardest here. Okay, you're sending me what is this video that like is apparently topic worthy of a couple picking up $100 bills on the ground. I don't mean to make you self-conscious about your topic if it's not topic worthy.
Wait, what?
You sent a video not once but twice, the same video of some like armored truck getting blown out on the highway and like this couple being an idiot.
Oh, I didn't mean to post it twice.
Well,
oh yeah, this shit was insane. Like, yeah, so these people, I posted this like before Thanksgiving. Like,
I had
people,
a lot
like,
of topics to go through.
Like an armored fucking truck like crashed on the freeway, and there were like all these people like grabbing like $100 bills, and they like, arrested a bunch of people because they were,
they arrested the people in the video grabbing $100 bills because they were an idiot enough to post themselves doing a felony. But like, I don't know the surveillance about like armored trucks from banks, but first of all, I feel like there's probably cameras all around an armored truck.
Yeah, every square inch. It's I mean, to be fair though, like if I was right there, I would probably do it too. Like there's just like $100 bills.
There's a video, and maybe I've mentioned this before. I feel like I'm having deja vu here, but there's a video of it's like Rick Ross is in a club. And like he is literally throwing out like tens of thousands of dollars in $100 bills, and like people are like, yeah, Rick Ross. If I was in that situation, I would be on the ground. Like, no, I would like, because the money's just falling to the ground. And I understand, especially from recent events, you probably don't want to be in a large crowd on the ground crawling.
I don't care if it's COVID time. I'm licking the floor trying to get these fucking...
I meant the Travis Scott thing. Yeah. But anyway, I understand it's unsafe, but they're things should be stopping. Things are chaotic. Rick Ross is giving away tens of thousands of dollars, and no one cares. They're more into Rick Ross than thousands of dollars. That surprises me.
Did I tell you what happened
Aston
during
Martin music was pretty good, but what happened during Black Friday?
So at Black Friday at the mall, first off, it was fucking insane. It was our biggest Black Friday for our company ever.
Well, so when did the Pokemon craze start? I guess that was. It
wasn't just Pokemon though.
But just so I could interrupt your story more, that like started really going hard in the pandemic, and I guess like 2020 malls were still like not great by COVID time, right? So yeah, you finally had your first year truly bounce back in one of the larger malls in the world.
It was the entire mall that was just fucking nuts. It wasn't just us. It was just people were just ready to shop. Continue.
No, I had nothing to say. I'm just saying Pokemon cards. They probably would.
You're like Pokemon cards.
You're Mr. Pokemon.
Dude, you're like a parent that's like, you like Pokemon, right?
No, but like it's Pokemon. You sell Pokemon. That's like your main business, right?
No. We're a board game shop? Like a board game shop, toy store, licensed gifts. It's just we happen to sell a lot of Pokemon.
Okay, well, you sell any Cards Against Humanity? Sell that one?
Yes, we sell. We are actually one of the first companies in the United States to carry it.
Do you sell Business Walrus?
No.
Okay, do you know what that is?
I have no idea what the fuck Business Walrus is.
I'm actually kind of pissed about this, and you can get back to your Black Friday in a second, but I have to be on a tangent. Do you know Clickhole?
Yes.
Do you know The Onion?
Yes.
Do you know how The Onion owns Clickhole?
Yes.
They don't. They actually sold it to the Cards Against Humanity team like a year or two ago.
Wait, really?
Yeah, so Cards Against Humanity, it's own Clickhole for at least a year, maybe 2 years at this point. And I noticed before, I was actually like looking into Clickhole when I was like looking at some of their articles, and I'm like, these kind of suck. They used to not suck, and now they kind of suck. What happened? And they're like, really, as soon as Cards Against Humanity like started owning Clickhole, like the article quality got worse, and like I don't know, the people Cards Against Humanity is pretty normie shit. I'm not gonna say that The Onion isn't normie. People love The Onion.
Terribly normie.
But let's just say I'm not surprised. All I want to say, the last thing on this point, is that like all of a sudden, about 6 months ago, I like saw, because I still follow Clickhole because they occasionally hit, and it was like, we made a stupid board game that's pointless called Business Walrus. It is like, oh, this looks exactly like they're not even trying to hide.
But the thing is, like, all those kind of games sell like absolute fucking hotcakes. Every single person, because what happens is, it's like a family party. Like you have like your boomer parents, and then it's like the two kids who are like 20 something or 18 or whatever, and someone has Cards Against Humanity, and then the parents like, oh my god, this is the funniest thing ever. This is such a great time with the family. We need to play this more, you know. And then the parent comes in, and then they buy it, and they never play it. They never play it ever.
Yeah, I would never want to buy or not. I would never want to play like my parents have bought me Cards Against Humanity, but I would never want to play Cards Against Humanity with my parents. Like that's not
No.
Even though it's normie, it's still like it's like watching a sex scene in a movie. It's like this is uncomfortable to play with my parents.
Maybe I like watching sex scenes with my parents.
I'm one of the people who thinks that any sex scene in a movie is most likely it doesn't add to the movie. It just makes the movie
cringy.
worse. It's cringy, and like it doesn't, like there's no need to see passionate sex between two main characters in a movie.
Well, it's not even like passion; it's like fake passion, so it's
Yeah.
even worse. And I already hate like acting, so it's like double cringe. It's like imagine having a sex scene and singing at the same time. I think I would die.
I'm in the Christmas spirit. This is completely unrelated. This is a family movie that I saw. I saw 8-Bit Christmas.
What the fuck is that?
It's a feel good movie about a kid in the 80s trying to get a Nintendo NES.
Oh.
I think
just so you
hate it.
know, I know I have like Christmas shit on. I'm like completely bah humbug about the holiday.
Yeah, you would hate the movie. It's like it's a classic holiday movie. It just so happens to have an NES in it. Anyway, yeah, check out this Business Walrus shit. Check out.
It looks terrible.
Yeah, it looks terrible. It's like Clickhole. You're just making me feel bad about reading your stuff. It makes me feel like icky. Kind of like having an app with some bad video game. Anyway,
let me talk about Black Friday.
Yeah. Okay.
So we were talking about Rick Ross in the club throwing $100 bills. So on Black Friday, it was crazy. We had 1 million people. There was a COVID protest with like 40 people there, and they had to get like escorted out. They were like, "My body, my choice. My body, my choice." That's beside the point. So there were these like kids, and when I say kids, I mean they're probably like 22 or something like that. What?
I'm sorry for interrupting you because I'm going to forget about it. Did you have a mall Santa?
Yeah, every single mall has a Santa.
Was the Santa masked?
Probably not, no.
No one gives a shit when it's Santa, huh?
No.
Anyway, continue.
Santa is immortal.
I don't know what point I was trying to make, but continue. You're never going to get through the story. 22-year-old man-child.
Yeah, no, they're these 22-year-old like kids, like whatever. And what they were doing is, so there's like the center of the mall, and then there's like the second floor of the mall, and that's like goes around there, and they were standing on the second floor throwing counterfeit $100 bills like onto like a crowd of people, and then they were running and then throwing them, and like people were literally like stampeding and like crushing people. It was like a group of like 100 people like running and stampeding, so it was like really bad.
That sounds terrible and like actually a nightmare scenario, but at the same time that's like kind of hilarious, and that like that's like chaotic evil, but I'm a chaos.
Oh, I knocked over some like 17-year-old kid to get $100 bill, and then I got it. And it was like
person
fake.
Off the balcony. They're dead.
Well, no, I didn't do that. Well, we were all on the first floor, and they were, yeah, but then there were like 18 security guards like chasing these people. So
I was like, obviously,
it was not good.
I love mall chaos. Like I hate mall stampedes and people dying.
I hate mall chaos.
One of my favorite memories was like this like loser from my high school who, like, you know, one of those people who is constantly up to no good. He got banned from the mall for life because he was like, he had like a BMX bike and he was just riding through. I'm just gonna say it. He was riding through with a bike. And yeah, he was like doing tricks off shit. Like he had the bike in like the tree area. You know what I'm talking about? Like it was an absolute nightmare for anyone that like tried to be at the mall, but it was hilarious for me. Anyway, I gotta sound like a dick here. The reason why I think this is kind of funny to me is because when I was a middle schooler, I loved to just like make people's lives hard, and like I would throw like barbecue sauce packets from the 3rd floor, and they would land on the 1st floor and explode over people. So yeah, I'm kind of a shitty person. At least I was in like 7th grade. So
that's like pretty shit, dude. My coworker was like, he's like 46. He's like, man, when we were a kid, we would just take bricks and just throw them off the expressway. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, that's like kill a person. That's like a thing that wasn't that like a news story where like some kid like threw a rock off like a overpass and like killed someone.
Apparently,
like,
a lot of kids like did that. Like, I'm like,
I knew people who did that, but nothing like crazy, like a big rock. Like I know some, because we had this overpass where I grew up, and like people. The thing is, for the longest time, it had like a protective covering over it, and then like they took it away for some reason, and then like people would be like, "Dude, I throw this penny off it." No one would be like, people would be too scared to like actually do something that could significantly. I mean, it's still a penny could like scratch a windshield, but anyway, I'm gonna continue to not get canceled here, so I'm gonna. That was a shitty thing they did at the mall. They shouldn't have done
it was
chaos.
But like, I would have totally crushed a kid to get. The worst thing is like there are these like older Indian people who like were going up to us like, this real. Why can I not use? Why can I not use? And they were like very upset that they couldn't use like.
How
this kind
obviously
of
fake
bill.
Were they?
Like completely like they were like the.
Did they have
were,
a backside?
Like, they were like glossy.
Because like if you look at like a lot of fake money and like movies and stuff, they only are one-sided.
Yeah, no, they were double-sided, but they looked fucking, like, awful and, like, washed out, and, like, all these Indian people were, like, super pissed they couldn't use it. Like, I'm like, what do you mean?
Why does race have to come into this?
Well, because they were Indian people. It's not racist to say
It's
like,
racist to describe people, man.
Like, hey, look, that person is Chinese. Is Mao Chinese?
Yes. What?
I don't know. Maybe he's, like, Laotian.
No. The founder of the modern Chinese government is Chinese. Anything else about Black Friday? Because I'm running out of things to derail this story with. I feel bad, but not bad.
Well, you were talking about Rick Ross in the club, like throwing $100 bills. Like, oh, this is like tangential, but that was like so far removed and 20 minutes ago at this point. That
what was the big seller? What made the bills?
Well, we sold the most Pokemon, definitely.
What was the biggest board game? That's gonna be some stupid. It's gonna be Cards Against Humanity or Uno, right?
Like probably like Cards Against Humanity, or like we sold a bunch of like Gloomhaven, Catan. Like we sold like every Catan we had, like Ticket to Ride, like all like the
Wouldn't only like
games.
4 copies of Gloomhaven fit in a store?
Well, we get like 4 copies, and like they all sold. So
okay, what's coming up? What's like going to be the next big thing next year that like people are like kind of into this year?
Well, so it's there's nothing like that. It's like the games go in waves, and it's like people aren't buying board games, and they're really hard to get board games right now because the board game companies are selling out to the big box retailers, so you can get everything there. So it's hard for us to get things. Like for example, like games like House on the Haunted Hill like retail for $55, but we have to pay like $46, and at that point, like, there's no point in carrying it. But it's like we do because we need to have it because it's a bestseller.
I like one of the most expensive games I own is called. I think it's what is it called? Oh my god! I have no. 1 second. I have to find this up.
Well, the Dune game is very, very popular. Dune Imperium is like one of the best games out there.
I feel like there was a Dune game in the 70s. Is it like the same one?
No, it's called Dune Imperium. It's like like the top rated game in the world right now.
Does really, like really every good. Single sci-fi movie or every single like anything that's like hard
99% of licensed games are fucking terrible.
Well, I know that, but I'm just saying like every sci-fi and fantasy property like trying to get a board game tie-in at this point. It's kind of like video games. Or at least, I don't know.
I don't know where this one came from, to be honest, but it like ended up being really good. Like sometimes you'll get surprised, like they're like the Jaws game, it's fucking awful. But like there's this like Harry Potter card game, like it's like Triwizard Tournament or something like that. That's actually fucking phenomenal. But it's out of print. You can't get it anymore. But
yeah,
if you've ever heard of the game Legendary, it's played like that kind of.
That's what I was about to say because like I have this one board game. It's actually at my parents' house, but I got it at a Kickstarter, and it's like with a Kickstarter, like obviously. Things can go wrong, and I kind of forgot about it, but like 4 years later I somehow got it shipped to me, and I think like I got it for like $60 and like now it's worth a couple $100. So that's all you gotta do.
What game is it?
I'd
actually genuinely be interested to hear what it is.
I have
to Twilight. Is it Twilight Imperium?
It is not Twilight Imperium. Empires of the Void.
Oh, that sounds like super familiar. That's like a game if I talked to my coworker about.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Fuck. It's like $30. I thought this was hundreds of dollars. I saw a guy selling this for hundreds of dollars, and now I find out it's like $50. I see one for $150. It's from 2011. Okay, I don't understand. I'm sorry.
Apparently, this game has bad reviews.
It's 6.7 out of 10. It was a pretty fun game, I remember. I played it like once or twice. I remember it was overly complicated. I think that was the issue. A lot of these board games
Yeah,
are
that's the problem with a lot of
unnecessarily
these games
complicated.
are like look up the game Twilight Imperium.
I bet that like a lot of these games that are 6 out of 10, like if a bunch of people played them, they like people don't actually have opinions. They just follow like sheep, okay? They're having fun if everyone in their group's having fun. It doesn't matter. No, it's all an arbitrary system.
It's so we're always sold out of our drinking games, and people come into our store and like, do you guys have any drinking games? I'm like, well, Candyland can be a drinking game if you try hard enough.
I went to a board game store and they just had a straight up like fake boob. It's like the game was grab the boob. Like there's no game. And that's like that's the kind of stuff that's the kind of stuff that like sells. So yeah, no one has
it absolutely does. Except so we have this game that's like it's like Take It All Off or something, and it has like 2 people like on the thing. We got him like so cheap. We got like 400 copies of them for like next to nothing, and we can't sell any of them, so we just have like stacks of them.
What's that one game that has like its title like irrationally pisses me off? It's like, dude, you're on mute or something like that. You know what I'm talking about?
No idea.
It's in like every board game store I see is like a drinking game.
All the drink games are super fucking cringy and normie.
Yeah, it's called You're on Mute, and it makes me want to die. So that's all I have to say on that. Actually, we talked about Christmas movies. I honestly I've never seen something so bad in that I didn't watch it, but there's a new Seth Rogen, Sarah Silverman Christmas animation. It has a 3% user rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a 1.1 out of 10 on IMDb. I haven't seen anything with a 1.1 out of 10 on IMDb with thousands of reviews before in my life. And they're saying that it's just due to the fact that like angry Christians don't want this Christmas lampooning comedy. I think it's just that a Seth Rogen, Sarah Silverman movie sounds
like absolutely insufferable.
It's like it's Sausage Party style, so it's like in the style of kids animation.
Yeah. What happened with those 2 people is like as they got older, they tried like still being like young and edgy, but like it just comes off as like really cringy. I'm like, well, you're like a boomer now. And
when
it's
you
not
hear
funny,
like a 45-year-old woman like talk about her diarrhea, it's like When you hear like a 20-year-old woman talk about her diarrhea, that's not. I'm not a huge fan.
It's like poop.
Your poop. You know that?
Speaking of poop and things that are poop, did you hear about the? It's a sad thing. The new COVID variant, Omicron or whatever, they found in the United States in New York and Minnesota. Well, do you want to know where it came from?
I know where it came from because I watched the video. Okay, I look at everything you post. I make copious notes. #drama. But anyway,
let's think about this. What's the nastiest, most vile-ridden place you can think of?
I don't know, like a jail cell toilet in Mogadishu, Somalia.
Yeah, that's pretty nasty. I was gonna say anime convention. They found a COVID variant at fucking NYC fucking anime center.
Okay, you're getting a little editorial here. We've all seen the clip, and by that I mean you and me. Honestly, the clip's hilarious. You have the Joe Biden press secretary talking about this man going to an anime con. We might splice in the audio here, but I'll continue, but maybe pull back a bit. Give the information in a neutral manner.
Okay, you do it then.
Oh, I thought, okay, you're done? So, press secretary, she's like talking like, I don't know, my name is press secretary, Jenny, is that her name?
Jen Psiki.
She's like, yeah, we got this guy, he tested negative, then he went to an anime con, and now Omicron is here. That's really the best way to put it, but the guy was actually taking precautions in a way that we're not really, because he went to an anime con after a COVID scare, but he was vaccinated. He had COVID symptoms. He got through the COVID symptoms and then tested negative. Then after testing negative, he went to an anime con in New York, which is still hilarious that like
that's where it happened.
Yeah, it's hilarious that's where it happened. It's kind of like the whole pizza event. I mean,
where was he that he got Omicron or whatever?
I don't know. Maybe like traveled. A lot of these people do travel for anime cons, but I will say that if you had a COVID scare, I understand making plans, buying tickets, buying hotels. Like you really want to go, but if you just had COVID, going to a mass gathering sounds like a bad idea. I mean, that's what people do that all the time. That's like, it's people want anime content.
So like literally every other week, a store in my mall is closed down because their employee breaks out with COVID.
That's probably how it should be. But the thing is, and don't cancel me, world. I went to anime Otakon. I went to Otakon kinda. I was in the area and Otakon was happening, and this was a couple months ago, like 2 months ago. I was able to walk into the areas where like people didn't require badges, and it honestly just kind of sucked as an anime con. Like there weren't that many people there. There were no artist alley things. Okay, I may have gone into more than just the free areas. There were more. Like every single thing was a worse version of a normal anime con.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the thing about anime cons is like when you think about it, like take away all the people and like anime cons actually suck. It's just you buy things and then there's like art. That's it.
Yeah,
that's
and you
all
walk around. It's like, what should we do? And then you go back to the hotel, and then you go there, and then you drink Crystal Pepsi, but it's not Crystal Pepsi. It's hard alcohol.
I miss it.
And you're drunk at 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. in a hotel in the middle of Rosemont, Illinois. Anyway, just reminiscing here. It's how it is. I thought this was funny. If we were gonna get political, I think the best story I've seen in like the last couple months is that Donald Trump has a 9th degree black belt in Taekwondo now. Did you read into this at all?
No, so I don't understand how these honorary things work. It's like, isn't that like insulting to like the people that like have gone through all this work to like actually get these belts and stuff like that?
So
like,
yeah, it doesn't even seem like this was like for any reason. It's just like we're gonna give Donald Trump an honorary black belt. It's not like he did anything that is worthy of like even heroicism. I'm sorry.
I just like the picture of him and like was that a G, and then he's just like.
Yeah, he's so happy about his 9th degree black belt.
He's not even he's not even like holding his fists right. Like it looks terrible.
But yeah, I agree with you, and I again cut you off because I'm on a roll here. I think that it is kind of silly that there are honorary black belts in the first place, considering like martial arts. The whole point is that like through your hard work, like, you're gonna
owning
like, craft your body. The funniest thing to me, and like people were pointing this out, it's not an original thought by me, is that Chuck Norris, world champion of Taekwondo, only got to an 8th degree black belt. So Donald Trump is a better black belt in Taekwondo than like some of the most world famous Taekwondo masters. Like probably people.
Do you think he like threatens people in private now about it? Is like, don't fuck with me.
He probably legitimately believes he could do Taekwondo. He's Donald Trump. There's no way he doesn't think he has.
What if they gave it to him because he like really can? Like he's
low key he actually does do Taekwondo
like in secret. Like and
they're like, we know that you can't just go back to Taekwondo class. You're too high profile. We're just gonna. You would have gotten this anyway. I mean,
you ever see those Spetsnaz videos, like the people like doing backflips and like throwing like knives at like people's faces and stuff?
I haven't, but I've seen. It sounds like some crazy Russian combat shit, and I've seen a lot of crazy Russian combat shit.
Yeah,
so,
that's him.
Okay, I mean, some people genuinely believe that's Donald Trump going in like SEAL Team 6, Zero Dark 30 style. I'm telling you. He's too busy doing Taekwondo instead. The thing is, this is official. Like I was looking into it, and so Taekwondo is a Korean martial art, and there's like two really main Korean bodies that like together like help form Olympic team. Like they actually are the legit bodies, and like one of them
is 9th the highest.
9th, I think, is the highest. I didn't do that much research here, but Kukiwon, which is like the number one governing body in Korea, is the people who gave it. It's not like he got just some like random guy to give him a black belt. Like they're like, you know what? We're gonna. It's like what's the equivalent? Like it's name something that gamers would resonate.
Platinum in League, I guess, or Challenger in League of Legends.
Yeah, if Riot was like, you know what, we're gonna let Donald Trump be number one, just because
they just give him Challenger.
Why not? Like that would actually I want to see that happen so bad.
That shit would actually be hilarious. Like they'd give him like top rank and like honorary top rank in CS:GO or like Fortnite.
I want to see the meltdown when Donald Trump is given Challenger in League of Legends. I want to like even from Donald Trump, because anyone who plays League is gonna have the worst time of their lives. So It's gonna be great. All parties around. I don't know. I've been on a little bit of a Trump kick. I've been.
I mean, well, he's like a meme now, so it's it's okay.
He's no. I mean, he's totally still a dangerous individual, but he's no longer.
Absolutely.
That crazy.
It's not as bad as the MAGA yarmulkes.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, I was just looking at like yarmulke. So I come from a Jewish upbringing. I would not consider myself Jewish currently, but as someone who grew up Jewish, I know a lot about these Jewish things.
Where were these made, do you think?
Probably China. But I was just like looking at like 3 a.m. because I have a friend named Superior David, and I was talking with him, and he is a little bit more on the Jewish spectrum, I guess, if that's what we want to call it. That's a bad way to put it. I didn't.
Can I stop you for a second? Can scroll down and see the things that people frequently buy with
the Jewish the Trump yarmulke. So I wanted to say is that like I could come and say, oh, just Jew it. That's a pretty dope shirt. And nice Jewish boy, you would wear those socks. I give you permission to wear those socks.
I would rock those socks. Just anyway, doesn't it? That seems kind of offensive.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, everything about Judaism, like, someone speaking about Judaism, if they are Jewish, like, the same exact words spoken from someone who's not Jewish, it sounds like the worst thing in the world, because Jew is so ambiguous as the thing you say.
Yeah, Jew, like that kind of shit.
Well, no, it's like, even if I was just, like, a random Christian guy, I was like, oh, there's a bunch of Jews over there. It's like, that's a little charged, huh? Some Jews over there? It's like, no. It's like...
anyway.
I
mean, you could be me and call them dreidel boys.
No, I'm cutting that out. You're not calling any Jewish people dreidel boys on this podcast. I'm sorry. You can't.
Dreidel boys on the track.
I mean, that'd be cool, but...
You're not calling anyone dreidel boys?
All I wanted to say is that I have the credentials to say that yarmulkes, which is like, it's a little cap you wear in your head if you're Jewish, you wear it in religious ceremonies. They look pretty dorky. You are going to look like the biggest dork on the planet if you're wearing a Trump, like, it's just a red yarmulke with
it doesn't even
Trump
look like it's good quality.
Yeah, it's probably not, because who's making Trump yarmulkes? This is like the worst product I've ever seen. And I hope that I don't come off as anti-Semitic.
It says it's a honey bestseller.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if thousands of people are wearing this right now. At this very moment. A lot of one-star reviews.
I thought by wearing this yarmulke he would win. He didn't. Wow.
Well?
1 star. I love it. It's made with great quality and great material, and shipping was right on time. 10 out of 10.
You don't have to read these reviews. There's nothing that's going to...
They're great.
Okay. Some guy saying 10 out of 10 because it shipped well.
Yeah.
That's not content. We're not.
You know what is content? We need to talk about the heavy-hitting issues of our time. This is the most important thing we will ever talk about on this podcast.
I'm scared.
Listen.
Is this this baby fighting video that you sent me? I was so confused.
No. We'll get to that later. No, it's supply chain crisis now threatening chicken tenders.
Am I having deja vu? This definitely happened. This definitely happened before.
I don't think we ever talked about this.
No, this happened last year. There was a supply chain issue for chicken last year. And the thing is, this was there were a ton of stories about this, and then nothing happened with it. I was still able to eat as much chicken as I wanted. So I call BS on the chicken shortages. I hate to burst your bubble. I know you're excited for the chicken shortages and the chaos that may come.
I'm not excited. I eat chicken tenders all the time. Can I just say this comment from this fucking article? It's for parents like Maddie Edmonds of Scottsdale, Arizona, removing chicken tenders from the family menu can mean a lot of frowning face at the dinner or breakfast or lunch table. My kids eat hamburgers and french fries. I have to wrestle them to eat vegetables. Edmonds told NBC News correspondent Carrie Sanders on Today Thursday, when I come home from the store and I don't have any chicken tenders, my kids are not happy. Edmonds has to work a little harder to find her kid's favorite food lately.
I checked out of that story after sentence 2 because it's just the most boring shit in the world. It's yep.
Well, it's what the fuck, baby, motherfucker,
kids like their chicken nuggies. But,
I love chicken nuggets.
Yeah, millions of chickens to be euthanized as U.S. faces meat shortage. That was in April of 2020. So, there was no meat shortage, I guess, in any way that, I guess maybe there was actually.
If there's a meat shortage, they just gotta come to me.
You got the meat? You gotta plop it down on the table? Is that what you're saying?
I'm pulling it out right now.
Yeah, I really have thought we have to post our dicks a lot more on the podcast, just in places.
Should we just random just to see if people are actually listening to the podcast? Just pull out our full on pull out our dicks.
I think it would be a good way to get us followers on Twitter
on the podcast. oh my god, these guys put out the thing on the podcast. No
It's
way,
like,
where? Oh, you gotta watch the whole thing to find out when we did it. We should just say we do it. Like,
Okay,
this
is a marketing strategy meeting 101. Marketing fucking I don't know. I'm trying to go viral low key. I'm making these like Uno videos, unboxings that are like purely mediocre, but they get the views. Okay, the people are gonna come.
They do. That's what the people want. They want to see.
We've gained subscribers on YouTube from me saying like, "Haha, this is a funny meme" on like a random meme video that like has 1 billion views. I'll just do that, and our name's Virtual Homework Podcast on YouTube now, so like people will subscribe. These are 12-year-olds.
Can do it.
Probably.
These are 12-year-olds. Probably all our fans are 12, unless you're the OGs in the Picante Love Discord.
Anyway, what were we saying?
Oh yeah, I don't know. I didn't even read the fucking article. I was just like, oh, like everyone's just retweeting on Twitter, like, oh my god, my life is over. I can't have chicken tendies. What's even worth living?
I feel like I'm like Scrooge McDuck here because like every single time there's a funny article, I'm like, actually, I read into this and it's not as bad as you would think. It's like, come on.
You're like, well, you're like the embodiment of the well, actually, guy.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but I have to do it. I need our journalistic integrity.
Dude, we're all about journalistic integrity. So yeah, there's like Spotify Wrapped. I don't use Spotify.
You see people post their Spotify Wraps and it's like, oh, I kind of wish I was involved with this. But then I realized I hate Spotify, so it's good. I use YouTube Music, which apparently is going to have their own in a couple days. But like,
yeah, I do the same thing. But it's like if I listen to music, I listen to it on YouTube. It's like I listen to like an album or I have like my playlist and stuff like that.
Well, do you have like the actual YouTube Music app?
I don't know. I have YouTube Premium, but I never fucking use it.
I think you should, like, honestly, the YouTube Music app is great. Like, you should probably just get it. Or
I listen to the same shit. I listen to like Gucci Mane and like trance CDs that are like
but it
8
actually
hours
is
long.
good because it also incorporates your YouTube videos into like music recommendations, and it's given me some good shit. But obviously, it's not perfect. Anyway, all I'm saying is that in the YouTube Music app in the next couple weeks, there will be a version of theirs, but like it's too late. Like they should have released it at the same time because people are almost already over Spotify Wrapped. All I want to say is that our podcast is a Spotify Wrapped. Shout outs to Malaysian podcasting community. Apparently, we got like 1 listen in Malaysia, and like they made the thing is.
It's probably like a scammer or something like that trying to like rip off one of our accounts or something.
That and like I think that like they don't know what to do when a podcast isn't listened enough. It's like normally they would show like stats that are like you got thousands of listens. It's like this one guy listened to you in Malaysia. But anyway, like they don't know what to do. They're just like, oh god, we don't want to be really sad.
It's like it's like like what would be worse is like sorry you didn't have enough like people
data
watching your shit.
No one watched, so we can't give you any stats.
Yeah, that's like even worse. They had to do like something. Like some guy in Idaho like just clicked on it and then clicked off. Like,
well, shout out to our Overcast community because that's where the majority of our podcast listens to. Anyway,
really?
All I want to say is that there were 7 people on Spotify that we were the most played podcast, and that's pretty cool. So there we go.
There's 7 people that
you're better than everyone else.
Yeah, literally everyone else, but you is a poop face.
There we go. I was like looking up Dick Tracy. Remember Dick Tracy?
Yeah, you send me like you send a bunch of random ass shit in like the shared topics. You're like DHL guy. Like what the fuck is that?
Oh,
like,
that actually okay, that matters. That matters. But I want to get into Dick Tracy first because this is very brief. What the who is Dick Tracy for? Who is Dick Tracy ever for? I looked it up. Dick Tracy's been like around since like the 1920s. How do you get into Dick Tracy? Is there a reason to get into Dick Tracy? Because like obviously if he's been going since like the 20s, it doesn't matter.
It's like comic book shit.
No, it's comic book shit, but it's like in a newspaper. You're like I feel like Sunday Comics is the worst way to possibly like get a story.
Well, I mean that's how it used to be though. I mean, so I disagree. Like there's Gary Larson with like the Far Side comics. Those are excellent.
No, I love Sunday Comics. I just not only is it like a story-based comic, like even like Zits, I feel like had some like story arcs or anything like that. But like it's a serious comic that's story-based. Like how does a single person get into Dick Tracy? Is anyone in 2021 getting into Dick Tracy?
Probably not, because who the fuck orders the newspaper up other than like people like that are like 80? I imagine it's like one of those things like so like you had like your funny comics. Like there are comics I would skip over. Like I would always I would read the Boondocks. I would read like Dilbert. I would read like the Far Side comics and things like that. But I would always skip about over Dick Tracy because I don't like superheroes. I think they're super lame. But I imagine like it's like, oh, I like superheroes and like they're reading comics. It's like back in the day, like Superman and all that kind of stuff used to be like in the newspapers and shit. I think so. It's like the same thing.
All right. Well, I thought you'd agree with me and think that Dick Tracy kind of sucks. But
yeah, I think he sucks.
Okay, there we go. That's all I wanted. I just wanted some validation. That's
no,
you
were correct. It was just like really fucking random. What's with the DHL guy? I want to hear about
so
that.
we were looking in me and Dana. So we like to do this podcast in crazy locations. Every year we have a little bit of a retreat. Last year we went to Nepal. We went to Annapurna. And as the sun rose and we saw the gleam of the mountain, we recorded a podcast episode on, what was it? Probably like Giraffe Town or some bullshit. But this year we've been really looking at our plan. We don't really have that much time left, but we were looking at our plans and we're looking to hopefully do an episode in Saipan, which is part of the U.S. Minoring Islands, whatever. Eddie. So it's like this Pacific region that's like random, but it's U.S. owned. Saipan is the largest city on it. I was looking at Saipan a bit, and I'm like, oh, this guy, the founder of DHL, used to live in Saipan. Anyway, this is gotta get really heavy really quickly. But the guy who made DHL was like a serial child rapist, and he lived in Saipan, and apparently
Sam, what the fuck? You're like, because for context, Sam has just been randomly messaging me at like 3 a.m. Like I'm like gaming out like hardcore, and he'll be like, "You should move to Saipan or die," like multiple
Saipan
times. Over
actually
the past couple
seems
of weeks.
cool. This is unrelated to
Oh,
Saipan.
I looked at it. I looked really cool, and then like it randomly messaged me DHL guy. I'm like, what? And then child rapist in Saipan DHL guy. Continue your story, please.
Well, okay,
okay, that is the photo of a child rapist. Like if I've ever seen.
He went missing. He went missing at 50 in a plane crash. No, his body hasn't been recovered. Anyway, so you know how it's DHL? There was a guy with the last name Dalsey, Hillblum, and Lynn. This is the H. So when you think of DHL, the H did some fucked up shit.
Okay, so he's just like faked his death.
No, he definitely died. He was an amateur plane enthusiast, and apparently he'd had like terrible vision. Like he was nearsighted to the point, like near blind, and like he just flew old school planes because he was a billionaire. So yeah. That story lost steam real quick.
DHL sucks, by the way.
They do.
They're the worst company to buy shit for, which it doesn't surprise me because
4 of his illegitimate children that he had when they were like 14, they sued his estate for like $300 million, and they all got money. So think about that when you think of DHL.
Speaking of other fucking awful things, the Game Awards.
It's not that bad.
I think it's pretty bad. It's like,
not that bad. I'm gonna party poop. I'm gonna say I read the article.
So the whole reason I say that is because literally, like, the head of advisors for the Game Awards is like the president of Activision.
Oh, I actually had no idea. The thing is, I feel like I've biased this story and like putting any of this next to like serial child whatever. So like talking about DHL guy and then talking about the Game Awards, it seems more tame. It's like if we just got like out of a story about like Albert Fish, serial child murderer. Murdered like 100 kids, and like you talk about anything.
Why are you like an expert on this subject?
I happen to have heard a podcast by Norm.
Oh, you
Macdonald
happen.
Where he talking about Albert Fish. It's a comedy podcast. All I'm trying to say is that I've made it very easy for me to rest my case based on what we just talked about.
Listen, this is the Cum podcast now, so
it isn't. I detest that. You talk about a pizza for 15 minutes one time, and that's all you're known for.
But okay, so I have
to,
listen. I have to have Dana's. I have to have the Dana shits on Blizzard section every fucking episode. Game Awards. They announce, say, hey, we aren't going to take side on the Activision thing, which is like completely bullshit in my opinion, because every other company has taken a side for this obviously awful thing that is objectively happening. It's not something like, oh, we don't want to take sides on shit, and then you find out that one of the people that's like head of directors for the Game Awards is actually president of Activision. So it's like pretty fucking awful optics.
So I'm the one who said I read this and I didn't read that part. So that's pretty fucked up. I was about to say, like, the only amendum is that there was after the original article dropped, there was an addendum by the host of the Game Awards. What's his name? Jeff.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Yeah, where he said it was that
Keighley.
he commended and like all this stuff.
Commended. He commended the people speaking out, not Blizzard.
Yeah, no, not commended. condemned.
Oh, he condemned Blizzard, yes, and then he encouraged people who were harassed in a workplace to speak out. So I think that Jeff Keighley himself, he's in a better position to not necessarily be neutral, or to be a little less neutral, and that like he's allowed to have his opinions. But the actual Game Awards themselves, they weren't making a stand because multiple Blizzard games had been nominated. But he did say that outside of the nominations, Blizzard wouldn't really have a presence at the events, which is kind of weird logistically. Like they at least have to have the one guy who's going to pick up an award if they somehow get the award. Like they can't just like outright say like even though they're nominated, they're not going to get an award. They still have to get the guy there anyway.
Well, yeah. But like if you scroll down, like the click on the tweet, the first thing it says like the advisory board. Activision.
Okay. I only read the Kotaku
president.
article. I don't go on Twitter.
Yeah.
The thing is, I'm not surprised because I always thought the Game Awards was kind of under hot water. Like it was a terrible like every single award show was under hot water. Like no one cares.
Well, it's like what the fuck is
no
the
one cares
Game
about the
Awards
Oscars
or anything? Like out of nowhere, it was just like the Game Awards. I'm like, who? What is this? Like who runs this?
I think that's kind of by design. Like all the game companies came together and it's like we need a Game Award, and they kind of just made it like 5 years ago. Which I think it has a place.
E3 kind of was.
I guess, but like I think that the Game Awards has a place. I think they just haven't found their stride. The thing is, I feel like award shows in general are kind of in a weird spot, and like the Game Awards kind of came at a weird time for award shows. But even so, like I like the Game Awards as a concept. I enjoy watching the Game Awards, even though like every single award show has like cringy. Like
every single award show is fucking terrible in my opinion.
I enjoyed it, except
than Todd and Aaron's.
Oh yeah, Todd and Aaron is a great one. I actually saw Mega 64 this weekend. They were pretty fun. It was pretty not this weekend, like 2 weeks ago, but
yeah.
That's a very brief story. It was very cold because they had to do it in a church, and it was at a church, which was weird, but it was an overall enjoyable show. Anyway, back to this. The only thing I don't really like about Game Awards is when they do something that is completely like next musical guest Ray Schmurder or whatever his name is, drummer's here.
Yeah,
it's like I don't need to see this band at this Game Awards. I just want to see the awards.
It was like when they had like Metallica at at BlizzCon or whatever, and they had to like completely on all streams everywhere had to like cut the sound because of DMCA.
I mean, that's a separate hilarious story, but like I like it when it's straight to the point. I don't need any of this like.
Oh, they had
sentimental...
Andrew WK last year, I think,
they
had the crowd, and it was like
that's
Andrew
hilarious.
WK in the crowd, and the crowd was just like. It was just like the most unenthused crowd. I mean, like Andrew WK killed it because he always does. But
I saw Andrew WK like a really long time ago, and it was one of the better shows I've been to. It was like the thing is, it was one of the weirdest shows I've ever been to because it was like right when he like started to branch into like classical music. So it'd be like an Andrew WK song and then like some random classical song. The show ended terribly because like people just wanted to keep partying, and he wanted to get into the classical shit, and he just like ended the show early. But I touched Andrew WK.
He's really talented though.
Yeah, he is. I like Andrew WK a lot. All I'm trying to say is that strip away the bullshit. I actually liked last year's YouTube Rewind. Sorry, 2 years ago YouTube Rewind where it was just stats. Just give me that.
Yeah,
just give me the awards.
I mean, that's all anybody really cares about. No one cares about like all this fluff. With like musical acts and stuff like that. I think musical acts in general, like unless it's like a musical thing, like the BT Awards or like the Grammys, like that's expected of musical acts, but like. At BlizzCon, at all these fucking other like the game, like what the fuck do you need a musical act for? It's just super cringy, and it looks really bad when they pan over the crowd and it's just a bunch of nerds like.
I guess, but yeah, I think they just need somehow to justify like their bloated budget on like these things could run at such like literally just have a guy announcing them, have it be half an hour long, have it be. The thing that really matters is the legitimacy.
It's the legitimacy. They want to be like, oh, we're the Oscars of gaming. You know what I mean?
But I feel like they don't realize that the Oscars are lame to people our age and younger anyway. Just have a half-hour event. The legitimacy comes from like Nintendo, Sony, like all these larger organizations saying, hey, this is the award. These are the awards.
Well, what they should just have it like... They should have like they used to have E3 with all like the reveals with games, stuff like that. Just have like a 30-minute thing with awards, and then like everything else just be reveals for games. Like I think that would do really well.
Do they do game reveals at Game Awards?
No,
I don't think they need. I feel like that would just take away from the event if people were more interested in the.
Well, no, I mean like just have like both in like one event.
They need a fundamental reimagining, and like I feel like the Blizzard stuff. I'm just so I guess I'm pretty exhausted by the Blizzard drama in general.
Can you remove this article because all I see is Sex Safari Like when I look at our Discord.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I feel like that's when we're talking about sexifiers again, it's a good time to move on from the Blizzard drama. Oh, okay. Actually, all I wanted to say is that I'm honestly exhausted by the Blizzard drama, and I feel like the Game Awards suck so bad that I don't care enough about this news.
I'm in the space, and it just keeps getting worse and worse, and it just what people don't understand is like World of Warcraft is more than a game for like millions of people. Like this was a literal lifestyle where I met some of my best friends. Like for millions of people, this is how we feel about this. Like we were so passionate about World of Warcraft and Blizzard products. Like these are literally a part of our lives. Like huge part of our identity of who we are. It might be hard to understand for a lot of people. So to see this stuff happening to like. It's like finding out your childhood hero is like a fucking terrible person. You know,
we talked about last
really,
episode
really
that you should never have idols.
I know, but it's like it's just hard to say because we invested so much time and effort into like something we like grew up with. Like we literally spent our entire adult lives with Blizzard. You know,
I'm not sure if you knew this yet, but I uninstalled Hearthstone. The thing is,
I haven't played WoW in forever.
Like the thing is, I uninstalled Hearthstone because it was a massive time waster, and like I'm just trying to like read more because I grad school. But yeah, this is gonna be my primary video gaming output. Gucci Arcade. I'm getting all the new shit. I don't need Blizzard games anymore.
I just think it's so funny we played more of this than like previous games.
Fuck Racing Lagoon. Just Gucci Arcade. Anyway. All I want to say is that I'm still going to go to BlizzCon. There's no way I don't go to BlizzCon whenever it happens again. If it ever happens again, please have BlizzCon again. It was really fun. I don't think they're going to have one. I somehow think they're going to skimp out of this.
Yeah, I think it's going to if they do have it, it's going to be an absolute shit show.
Because they already announced that they're not having it in 2021 or 2022, sorry. They're having a virtual one in 2022. Which means they're not going to have 2 years.
Yeah, they didn't have. They were supposed to have a virtual one this year, and they just didn't do it.
Yeah, and then I think they're having an online event next year, and so the earliest is 2023, which is ridiculous because the last one I went to is 2019. When you have a 4-year gap in something, I feel like it gets out of the means, like it gets out of the expectation. Like it's like, oh, we haven't had one of these in nearly half a decade. We could stop because before it was like if there was no BlizzCon. Barring a global pandemic, barring an actual excuse, they really had no reason to stop. Like it would just like be like hypothetically, if they had all this drama and they stopped, it's like, oh, they're stopping because of the drama. But now they have an actual reason to stop, and it was already at a loss.
It's just like their excuse to just not do it.
Yeah, because the event was already running at a loss, and like the reason they did it was goodwill to their fans. But now they don't have any goodwill, so like they might just
they don't. Yeah, Activision would be like just like fuck it, you know.
Yeah, so I'm actually scared that's gonna happen, and I hope it doesn't because I love BlizzCon, but. It's probably better that like people who were sexually abused and harassed get their
I'm holding out that maybe Blizzard would be good one day, but like they would have to completely restructure their entire company. I don't think it's possible. So
pretty much
sadness.
Have you been queuing into Final Fantasy 14? Doesn't it take like 85 years?
Well, the game came out yesterday. It took about like 40 minutes for me. Yeah.
New expansion or like they just re-released?
It's a brand new expansion.
Okay, so they didn't just re-release
yesterday.
The whole game.
No, it was a brand new expansion, so it's like everyone's trying to play it. But I barely even played it. I'm not even done with my previous expansions.
Never mind. That answers my question.
What?
Would you chop off your own dick to play Final Fantasy 14?
No, the problem with the game, it's literally just like imagine an RPG that's like 700 hours, and that's Final Fantasy 14. Like It's so long.
Lord of the Rings Online.
Never again. Yeah, like Fish is straight up like was the best thing I did in the air for.
What the fuck? Never again? We're playing Lord of the Rings Online soon.
We'll play it again eventually.
Soon. Can I just I was talking about Dick Tracy, like because I was on like a weird wiki rabbit hole at like weird times because I've been like messaging you more at like 3 a.m. Part of that's just due to the fact that my sleep schedule's been fucked because I had like a 25 paper, in which case 15 pages.
I've been going to bed early.
After I told you last week that your life's falling apart when you like had to take a grease break, you finally figured it out. You finally got to change your life for the better. So I'm happy for you. But yeah, meanwhile, I'm staying up till 3 a.m. sending you articles on Bougainville independence.
What the fuck is this?
Do you know there's going to be a new country in 2027? That's dope. Let's get a countdown going. Bougainville.
Can we move there?
Well, we probably don't want to. Papua New Guinea is already kind of like you heard my Port Moresby rant, right?
No.
Port Moresby is like one of the shittiest places to live. It's nothing against the people who are there. It's just a lot of crime. It's kind of a lawless zone. It's like it's chaotic in a bad way.
Yeah, it's very spooky, scary.
Yeah, actually, because it has basically enough development. It's one of the more developed cities, it's one of the largest cities in Oceania, if not the largest. It's the capital of Papua New Guinea. But it's got a lot of crime. Like if you're living there and you don't have barbed wire around your house, you're probably fucked. Anyway.
What if I went there? Like,
yeah, the thing is, well, if you're wearing Gucci, you might get jumped. But Australia is very close to most of Oceania, so like a lot of people from Australia are in Port Moresby on like contracts because like Papua New Guinea has a lot of resources. So like it's not unheard of to see white people in Port Moresby, but it's not a great place to be. It's kind of it's not great. Anyway, Papua New Guinea is not the most developed place. In fact, like Papua New Guinea is insane. It has thousands of languages.
That's like a country I like never think of as Papua New Guinea.
Well, I think about it constantly.
Like you think like Indonesia, you think of like even like Bikini Atoll and like some like those random ass countries. And
Bikini
stuff like
Atoll
that.
is no, that's part of the U.S.
Isn't it? Well, it's like random like islands and things.
You think
like
of Bikini Atoll because of the nuclear test. That has a reasoning for you.
I'm just trying to think of like random places.
You're telling me about Bikini Atoll.
I never think of fucking Papua New Guinea, I guess.
Well, anyway, what I'm trying to say
give me the 411 on fucking Papua New Guinea.
Well, Papua New Guinea is like one of the most crazy places in the world right now. First of all, the country of Papua New Guinea has like 5,000 languages. 20,000 languages, because each one of these individual like villages in the Papua New Guinea like rainforest, they're completely in isolation and don't speak to anyone and have like their own language that like is like it's a legit language. It's like not something you just learn.
It's not like different parts of India that have like different dialects and things like that.
Well, India has a lot of its own languages that are like not necessarily intercommunicable. But okay, I was way off. Just like that game. It's the most linguistically diverse country in the world. According to Ethnologue, there are 839 living languages in the country. I said 20,000. Still a lot.
That's still a lot.
Yeah, like imagine if the U.S. had 800 languages. That's a lot.
That'd be unreasonable.
Yeah, you can't communicate with everyone in the country. Anyway, what I try to say is that Bougainville, I don't know. It's one of the most eastern islands in Papua New Guinea. There was a civil war in Bougainville with the Papua New Guinean government. It ended in a stalemate, but I think 2 years ago in 2019, they had their own independence referendum, and they decided with a 98% vote to become independent from Papua New Guinea to be set in 2027.
So is this like some Hong Kong, Taiwan type shit?
I mean, like in the same way that like a lot of independence struggles are Hong Kong, Taiwan type shit. I wouldn't say so because like that was weird. And actually, I guess there was some settlement.
I'm just looking at my boy Mao, okay?
Mao would not be happy about this conversation. There was some like I think like a British settlement or something in Papua New Guinea that there's something unique about Bougainville. Like there's a reason why it wanted independence, like based on its like upbringing, if that works. But even the language or even the country itself on the small island of Bougainville, which has 300,000 people, is actually more than I thought. That's larger than some countries in Oceania. There are two languages. This tiny island, this North and South Bougainville. You can't understand one and the other if you only know one. Come on.
Would it be safe for us to go there?
I think it would be safe if we had a guide. I think the thing about Bougainville is that I was doing some reading because like whenever I go to a place, I look at wiki travel. You're not going to really be able to do much without a guide because like part of the tradition in Bougainville is like there's ultimate trust with like people in your village. So like if you have a villager guide and he's like, hey, this is the guy. If you're with that guide, you could probably get into a village, do some village shit, but do some village shit.
Okay, what's village? Yo, dog, you want to go do some? Do you think like that's how they talk? But they talk in like their like traditional language, like yo, dog, what do you want to do today? Yo, let's go to the square and do some fucking village shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like
pound a
pound a natty light
stick into the ground.
We went in very different directions with the pounding. There's also another type of pounding that probably gets done.
Smoke some fucking horrible shit. Aren't they like all like horribly addicted to like some like stimulant there or something like that?
I don't know about Papua New Guinea, but Papua New Guinea was an Australian territory, but Bougainville was a Dutch territory in colonial times. So that's I think that causes the rift. Anyway,
I was like watching this thing about like some like Asian Islander country that like something like 90% of the population is like horribly addicted to like this drug.
Was it crocodile?
No.
Oh no! Saipan is addicted to meth.
Yes.
No, they had it's good. It's bad for meth distribution, but the population is not. Meth.
Like there's like this leaf that like it's like a stimulant, and like the entire country is like horribly addicted to it. Like children even. I forgot which country it was though.
Beetle nut.
Yeah, I think that's it. What country is it?
Jeez, this is the loudest video I've ever seen in my life. Oh, it's Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, that's the exact video I saw. So it was Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, I guess.
So I'm just like you. Sometimes I look at random other country shit too because I think it's neat.
Hanua Bada.
What
I could talk about Port Moresby all day. I could talk about Bougainville's independence all day, but we have things to talk about. We can't have like a 9-hour podcast.
I know where you had the whole thing where we're not supposed to talk about crypto anymore, but like I actually want to talk about one thing. It's very, very funny. It's actually making fun of crypto. This game, Wolf Game, they built their entire game on the Ethereum blockchain, and apparently a bug was found in the code, but because it was so tied into the blockchain, they basically had to remake the game from the ground up. Like, and everybody had to be like refunded, have their tokens due. They had to reissue tokens. Like it's a whole shit show. It's actually pretty funny. I mean, it's just like a huge L for crypto.
I think that like crypto is just in a space where like everything is. It's like, well, part of it is that like crypto by design, you don't want to like have it like crypto by design. It's a feature that you could accidentally send someone like $4,000 and like lose all your money. Like it's part of the whole like not necessarily anonymous, but like the whole like. There are no checks in place, and that's like apparently a good thing. I don't think that's a good thing. I like when my bank isn't like I accidentally routed all your money to the wrong person, but
to Kuwait or something.
Yeah, but as part of that, there's a lot of like things that shouldn't be failures that just are, and it's kind of hilarious. But I think that the space will like eventually like there's gonna be like safe coin where it's like just some dude in like a bubble suit. Like that's going to be like the personification of the coin because it's going to be like there's going to be guardrails everywhere. And then none of this shit's going to happen. I think it's hilarious that like people are like even investing in like Ethereum based games because it's like on the surface, I guess it's like fun that you could gain Ethereum by playing a game, but like
no one actually plays these games. Like you see all these games
invest on like the actual like this game has a $7 billion market cap. It's like I don't think any game has a $7 billion market cap.
Well, it's getting to the point where, like, did you ever play, like, private servers for, like, games back in the day?
Yeah, I did.
So, like, so Ragnarok Online was, like, super popular in, like, the private server thing. So, like, there's Ragnarok Online, like, crypto servers that have, like, their own coins that you can get, like, the coins in-game that, like, are listed on Coinbase. They're, like, private servers using a company's IP to have a cryptocurrency. Like that's just like the stupidest fucking thing in the world to me.
I'm a crypto guy, but one day like the entire world is going to realize that like they've invested like 35% of their portfolio in like Shiba, and it's done. They're going to be like what am I doing with my life? Let's take it all out. And then, like, when they see that, like, the last 10 coins that have been listed on CoinMarketCap are all, like, some variation of Shiba and Sheeb and Dog.
And Shiba, Doge, Elon, Flucky, Inu, Muskie.
As soon as that happens, we're going to, like, go to a point where, like, every coin except for Bitcoin goes to zero, which will for some reason be $1 million. That's all I have to say on crypto. We actually haven't done the announcement. I mentioned very briefly, I hope we don't talk about crypto for a year. 2022, my goal is to not talk about crypto for a whole year.
Unless it goes like real crazy up to like $80,000 and then we have no choice.
Unless like somehow this becomes my full-time job because of crypto. Virtual homework coin.
Virtual homework branded cyanide pills.
No.